you're interested in avoiding World War III, it seems like you ought to be interested in preventing them from having the knowledge necessary to make a nuclear weapon. And I take the threat of Iran with a nuclear weapon very seriously.
Is Iran, Dr. Baradei, building a nuclear bomb?
Well, Wolf, let me say three facts to put the Iranian nuclear issue in proper perspective. We're not talking about Iran today having a nuclear weapon, as Secretary Rice said recently. Second, even if Iran were to be working on nuclear weapon, according to John Negroponte and Mike McConnell, they at least a few years away from having such weapon. Thirdly, what we are doing right now is through the IAEA and the European Union, Javier Solana, is to try to make sure that we control the nascent enrichment capability in Iran and create the conditions for Iran and the European, particularly the US, to go into negotiation. So we are not talking about Iran having today a nuclear weapon. We are trying to make sure that the future intention of Iran is peaceful. And that's really what we are talking about, the risk assessment of possible future intention by Iran if they have the technology to develop nuclear weapon. And when I say that because at this stage we need to continue to work through creative diplomacy. We have the time, because I don't see any other solution, Wolf, except through diplomacy and inspection.
Well, what about whether it's a few years down the road before they actually have a nuclear bomb, do you believe there is a clandestine, secret nuclear weapons program right now underway in Iran?
We haven't seen any concrete evidence to that effect, Wolf. We haven't received any information that there is a parallel ongoing active nuclear weapon program. What we have seen in the past, that certain procurement that have not been reported to us, certain experiments, and that's where we are working now with Iran to clarify the past and the present. But I have not received any information that there is a concrete active nuclear weapon program going on right now. And I think if you hear carefully what is being said about Iran, that Iran might, we suspect that Iran might have the intention, but I don't think I have seen anybody saying Iran today is working actively on a weapon program. And if there are such information, I would be very happy to receive it and go for it.
So what you're saying is that the United States government has not provided you hard intelligence evidence that Iran is secretly working on this kind of nuclear weapons program?
We have information that there has been maybe some studies about possible weaponization, but we are looking into these alleged studies with Iran right now, and that's why we have said that we cannot give Iran a pass right now, because there is still a lot of question mark. But have we seen Iran having the nuclear material that can readily be used into a weapon? No. Have we seen an active weaponization program? No. So there is a concern, but there is also time to clarify these concerns. And we should remember, Wolf, that it's a question of distrust that has been going on for over almost half a decade. And the earlier we go to the negotiation mode, right, between the U.S. and Iran, the better we can resolve the issue. Sanctions have been applied, and sanctions probably will continue to be applied, but as I have said before, and I think everybody agrees, that sanction alone will not lead to a durable solution. Even the Security Council is saying durable solution has to be through a comprehensive package deal with Iran, where we discuss not only the nuclear issue, but regional security, trade, technology. So the earlier we use creative diplomacy to move towards such initiation of negotiation, the best for everybody.
Well, let me be precise, because what U.S. officials increasingly are saying now, and you certainly hear this from the Israelis as well, is there's a difference between actually having a nuclear bomb or having the knowledge to build a nuclear bomb, and they're increasingly speaking about this threshold of once they have the capability of doing it, it's almost like actually doing it. Do you differentiate between those 2 points?
I do, Wolf, because having the capability, there are at least 13, 14 countries who have the capability to enrich uranium, and because it is used also for peaceful purposes to develop fuel for power reactor. that is frankly is a lacuna, a loophole in the system right now, and I've been calling for a number of years, including also President Bush and others, that we need to make sure that no one country should be able to have the enrichment capability or having the capability to also produce plutonium, because you are not very far from having a nuclear weapon should you decide to do that. However, having the enrichment capability and having a weapon is a long way to go. It is not. Iran right now have a nascent technology, and what we are trying to do right now is keep that technology capability under inspection. It is under inspection. I urge Iran to suspend these activities to build confidence. I make sure that we have robust inspection, but until we go into the negotiating mode, until we discuss the global insecurity in a hotbed of stability, which is the Middle East, I think we will continue to go into this gradually toward confrontation. I very much concerned about confrontation, building confrontation, Wolf, because that would lead absolutely to a disaster. I see no military solution. The only durable solution is through negotiation and inspection.
Because the rhetoric coming from Washington, from top Bush administration officials, seems to be heating up. This is what the Vice President, Dick Cheney, said last Sunday. Listen to this.
The Iranian regime needs to know that if it stays on its present course, the international community is prepared to impose serious consequences. The United States joins other nations in sending a clear message. We will not allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon.
All right, is that kind of rhetoric helpful or hurtful to what you're trying to achieve?
Well, there's clearly a question of distrust between Iran and most of the international community, at least the West, the U.S. in particular. And to build confidence, you will not be able to do that through just exchanging rhetoric. You need to go and create a condition to go to the negotiating table. My fear that if we continue to escalate from both sides, that we will end up into a precipice. We will end up into an abyss. As I said, the Middle East right now is in a total mess, to say the least, and we cannot add fuel to the fire. Nobody wants Iran to have nuclear weapons. Nobody wants any country to have nuclear weapons. I think, when you see Kissinger and Schultz and Perry and some now saying we need to go toward abolition of nuclear weapons, I think everybody now, it should be a wake-up call. We cannot continue to rely on nuclear weapons, anybody, because of it has become decreasingly effective and increasingly hazardous.
Because the U.S. position is, Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice reiterates it, the U.S. will have negotiations with Iran, direct negotiations, but first the Iranians must stop enriching uranium. Is that a mistaken policy on the part of the U.S. government?
Well, this is the U.S. policy. I can't really pass judgment on it. All I can say, Wolf, the earlier we go into negotiation, the earlier we follow the North Korean model, the better for everybody. Negotiation stopped with North Korea for 5 years. They ended up with nuclear weapons. They ended up with a nuclear test. You resume negotiation. Now we see positive results. I always compare between the Korean model and the Iraq model, and I believe that these security or insecurity issues can only be resolved through negotiation.
Here's what you said back in May in an interview with the BBC on May 8th. You said you do not want to give additional argument to some of the, quote, new crazies who want to say, let us go and bomb Iran. Who were you referring to when you spoke about the, quote, new crazies?
Well, I'm referring, Wolf, to anybody who is saying, let us use force right now.
World War III.
Because I believe we still have ample time for diplomacy, and B, I believe that force is in no way a solution to the problem. This is an issue of security and trust. You can only resolve that through negotiation.
I will take actions necessary to